Welcome in to the Louisiana Derby podcast for Fairgrounds Racecourse. I'm Chad Schexnayder alongside Mike Diliberto, episode 11 of season 2, and it's Louisiana Derby week, Mike. But first off, I want to send thoughts and prayers to those affected last night by the tornadoes on the West Bank, Araby, New Orleans East. A lot of damage in Araby, about 5 miles here from the fairgrounds. We know people who lost their homes over there and having just been through Ida down here a few months ago and rebuilding, and now you feel for all those involved. And look, we're no strangers to bad weather. Both of us haven't grown up here below sea level. Any tornado is a scary proposition, but at night, man, that's just got to be terrifying. So our thoughts and prayers are obviously with those folks down there from the tornadoes.
Oh, you're right. In fact, one of our longtime racetrackers, 49er, his aunt and her daughter both live. She's 80 years old. They live in Araby, and they had a lot of damage, he told me.
Yeah, so terrible for those folks. But we're here to talk a little horse racing, and we're in the home stretch of the Fairgrounds' 150th season, culminating this weekend with Louisiana Derby Day. A 12-race card is going to start at noon, I believe, correct?
Noon
on Saturday. Friday is a 10-race card. Really good card Friday here. And Sunday's closing day. 13 races scheduled that day. First post is going to be 12:10. Is that correct?
12:10, 13 races.
13 races. So, look, Saturday and Sunday, you got 25 races in 2 days. So there's spots to make money, and we're going to try to help you out and try to do that. And we're going to talk about the Saturday races here. You know, we always get to this point in the meet, Mike, and we go, man, it went by so fast. But anything surprising you thus far at the meet as far as trainers or jockeys or big days results? Anything surprising to you that stood out?
Nah, not really. It's trying to fade out like we figured. James Graham and Mitchell and Cobra Hernandez for the rider title, and Ron Fauché going to repeat probably as a leading trainer. And Ron knows what he has to do to keep winning those races. He made a lot of smart claims and drop downs, and so it looks like he's going to make the New Orleans people proud again.
Yeah, Ron Fauché, happy for him. Looks like he's going to cruise up and get the trainer's title. We talked about owners. We talked about who might win the titles earlier in the meeting. Man, Evelyn, Benoit, and Britland Stable. Wow, what a fantastic meet. And I believe, she's up to 24, maybe 25 wins. All of them have been star guitars.
And Cameo had a great year. That was,
Yeah.
They did everything. They started off really hot, kind of had a middle run, and then picked it up hot again the last couple of weeks. And they got that really nice filly Overcharged running on the last day.
Yeah, so check that out. Congratulations to Britland Stable, Miss Evelyn. She's so good for the game down here. And she runs her horses, and she believes in star guitar, and she lets them prove it on the racetrack. So,
and you know what? He's proven that he's a turf sire and a dirt sire. His horses run anywhere.
I think people started to take notice, too, because there's some different outfits that are ended up with these star guitars, and they're going to go win at different places. So keep an eye out on those horses. They got some tough ones out there.
And another guys that ship in and done real well is Jake Delhome's people.
Yeah, Jake's done well this meet. They've had a really fantastic meet, and they got a couple of horses here over the weekend too that we're going to touch on. But Louisiana Derby Saturday overall, Mike, it could really be a historic day for Ron Winchell and Team Asmussen. They got Echo Zulu coming back for the Oaks, and Midnight Bourbon is over in Dubai actually running in the World Cup for a $12 million purse in Epicenter. Wow. Talk about the rich get richer, and those three horses could definitely take down some rich purses on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, they're loaded for bear this weekend.
I saw Jackie's Warrior was back on the tab as well this week, Mike, the 2021 champion sprinter. Early thoughts, I guess, how has he looked, and what's he doing out there?
They haven't really set him down hard yet. They've been doing some nice easy 3/8 and halves with him, but looks really good. Probably getting him ready for a nice spring campaign.
Anybody else on the stakes level maybe prepping here for bigger things that caught your eye?
Wayne Catalano brought back the British Cup sprint winner, Aloha West. And he came back, worked very well the other morning. In fact, talking to Wayne, he was originally planning his first start to be the Churchill meet, but he said he's coming back a little quicker than he thought, so there's a possibility you might see him at Keeneland.
Oh, nice. That'd be good. Aloha West training back there on the fairgrounds. Well, let's get into the card, Mike. We can go ahead and just start at the top and run through these races. You've seen a lot of these horses in the morning, and the last 2 big days we started off with a Louisiana bred race in the card. Not so on Saturday. This is one of the 4 maiden special weights, and this is a really good one for 3-year-old fillies. It's going 6 furlongs on the main track, bright and early. First time starters in there. You got. Looks like you made the morning line favorite in there, the 7-2, or 3-1 actually. Bell Rebel for Steve Asmussen. Take us through a little bit of what's going on here in this race.
I tell you what, it's only an 8-horse race, and I got checks on 4 of them that I think could pop up and win. Most of them all first-time starters, but Georgetown Road showed improvement in her last start, finishing second. you got to give her a shot off of that, that she's got the racing experience. Bell Rebel, this one here, we had a very solid gate work twice. Good gate works. Showed a lot of speed in the gate work. 22 and change, 34 and change, 47 and 1. Got to think she's got a chance. Violent Outburst for Tom Amos. Worked in company with Exatitude, his other horse. And Violent Outburst got a little better of her in those works. 47 and 3 out of the gate. Solid effort. And maybe a hidden horse might be number 8, Misread from the Al Stallborn. She's got a couple of solid gate works also that way. She finished up in 12 and 1. Anytime you go around the bend and then keep finishing up, you got to give them a chance. But really competitive race to start the day.
I like the Al Stall. You mentioned him. Stall's been very good at this meet with his first-time starters, Mike. He's sent out 17 first-time starters, has 4 wins, 2 seconds, and 3 thirds. Evan Singh won on the turf just last week. A maiden special weight company. He's had a couple others, Dallas Volunteer, Underhill's Tab, and Burning Hunk of Love. So Al's done pretty well with the first-time starters here, so I definitely like giving him a look. The one-horse Catch Magic for Norm Cassie had some nice works dating back to Churchill last summer, and then they backed off. They paid $600,000 for this Curlin colt. You expect him Colt filly. You expect her to get better as age goes on. Looking at statistics, Norm Cassie is 0 for his last 14 with first-time starters with 5 thirds. The one Pretty Birdie won, the last one he won with back in June. That's a really nice stakes filly that he's got. And Brad Cox, the 2 patent, Mike, is a half to Ducali.
Wow.
Who's Cox allowance horse. I'm not sure if he's here or Oaklawn, but Cox has sent out this year first-time starter-wise. 11 first-time starters this year between here and Oaklawn. He's got 4 wins in 2 seconds. So his barn's really firing with the first-time starters, and Florent Giroux rides that one.
I know. Very competitive race to start the day.
No doubt. Let's move on to the second race here, and that's going to be on the turf. We're going to go on the turf for a maiden special weight. This is for 3-year-olds. This is colts, mile and a 16th. And big, decent field here, Mike. A lot of 8-1 shots in here. You go with Brendan Walsh and McGolden. A lot of these 8-1 shots. What we got going on?
Really, it's another very, very competitive race. Mazuma from the Asmussen barn, 2 races back, was a solid second with Rosario hit. Then he kind of threw in a clunker in his last start. I made him the lukewarm 3-1 favorite, but there's about 5 other ones you can give a chance to. Faith Runner showed improvement last time out, finishing second to Setting of the Wise. Got to think he's got all right. Some of the first-time starters, my brother Patrick and Madison Loves Duke. My brother Patrick been working pretty solid for Mike Stidham, a lot of 5/8 works, and Mike can get him ready going 2 turns first time. And obviously, he thinks a lot of this colt because his last 2 works, he worked in company with Proxy, who's one of the favorites in the Once Handicap. So, he's working with a graded stakes winner. You got to think he's got something there. And Al Stall's Madison Loves Duke's another one. Her gate work was pretty solid, 35 and 3, 48 and 1, and then went out 101 and 3. And Al's also one that can get him ready to go 2 turns first time out. But really a really competitive race here, I'd have to say.
Yeah, one of those races, Mike, where you got to really watch the board, watch what the doubles are paying, and the money might lead you in the right direction here. The second race on the card Saturday at the fairgrounds. Moving on to the third race. This is one of the state-bred stakes on this day that they're starting to do. This was the Crescent City Oaks. It's for Louisiana breds that are 3-year-old fillies, and they're going a mile and 70 yards on the main track, Mike. And these Louisiana breds start early, taking turns beating each other up. But there's a Motown filly in here that you made a favorite, 3-1. Whole lot of Mo has been over the track twice here and has a second. What do we know about her?
Well, I just know she looked like a horse that likes 2 turns. Ran a solid second to a really good filly and Feel Like a Girl at Delta Downs, and then came back and got up to win in her last start of stake race. So been keeping state company, good company. I think she's going to be real tough in here. And also the one, Speed and the Rail, and got Brian Hernandez, and he's a master at getting them out, putting them on the fence and slowing it down. And she comes off of a very impressive mile win here last time out. So I think those 2 are the 2 horses to beat in here. But, Nanny's a hoot. This one been running on the turf and running pretty good. 2 wins in the last 3 starts, but she's trained okay over the main track, so I guess you can't throw her out either. But I think either the 1 or the 5 would be the logical horses.
A horse that I kind of took a liking to, and just because I bet on her first time out at Delta, was Mishpaka. Mishpaka for Coteau Grove Farms and Brett Calhoun. We had Andrew Carey on the podcast last week talking about Coteau Grove Farms and the great things they're doing over there. This is an allowance horse. Going to make her stakes debut here. She was so impressive first time out at Delta. I put her in my stable mail and I said, I wrote Champions Day because I really thought she'd show up at Champions Day. And Brett put her in the allowance race. He skipped the Champions Day, brought her in for Fairgrounds, and I said, oh, this is a good spot. Let me see. We're going a mile, 2:30. Yeah, this is good. Well, she went off 5-2 and run second. So I said, okay. So watched the last two races, and I think he's got her back doing pretty well. She interests me a little bit at 8-1, so I'm going to throw her in there for a price.
Well, no surprise because she went off the favorite in a SERP race, and you just didn't fire that day for some reason.
Fourth race on the card, Mike, is a maiden special weight. This one's a mile on the turf, and this one's for the fillies. 3 years old in this race. Man, these turf races, I'm telling you, not that they're the death of me all meat or the death of people, but, you know, with the rail going in and out, we're going to mention the rail is going to be at 0 this weekend for Saturday and Sunday. But this turf course, this meet has played
very strange
everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You know, I'm starting to hear the rumbles already about the inside's going to be good this weekend. Look. Bet the best horse, right? I mean, try to bet the best horse and hope he gets the right trip is all you can say. But I'm definitely interested in watching how the turf course plays as the week goes on.
Another very competitive race. The 10-horse Masoni ran a solid second, first time out here at the fairgrounds in his 3-year-old debut. Ran second to New Year's Eve and beat Torberets. Well, Torberets came back to win 2 in a row after that, and New Year's Eve came back to win his next start and then run second in the stake race. So, a third in the stake race. So, Masoni, I think, is the horse to beat in here. His stablemate, Treasure of War, came out of that same race back behind New Year's Eve and with Torberets and him, and kind of broke a little slow and still ran a good race. Only got beat 5 3/4, and he picks up a solid rider in the Biscuit. So I think at a price he might be worth throwing in there. Brad Cox has the 11-horse Forgotten Realm, a $625,000 purchase. Been working very well. And Brad definitely can get him to go 2 turns first time out. He also has another first that Rosario is going to ride for him, World Premier. So you got to think both of those horses are alive also.
Forgotten Realm, you got 9-2 in the morning line. The stall actually trained that dam. You remember her applauding?
Oh, yeah.
Applauding.
Yeah.
She won.
Solid filly.
Yeah, she won 3 out of 4 starts, won an allowance race actually here at the fairgrounds in her second start. So she was a nice filly. I believe she got hurt and never really got to show, her true potential. But she caught my eye because I remember her running here at the fairgrounds. Treasure of War, it's one with the blinkers on for Cherie DeVoe. Like you said, Bashitza taking over in the saddle for Declan Carroll. So I like that. Those declarations of wars are pretty tough. A race you probably got to go pretty deep in, I would imagine, if you're going to play the early pick 4 and the pick 5s. That's the 4th race, the mile on the turf, maiden special weight at the fairgrounds. 5th race on the card, the state-bred Crescent City Derby, $75,000 purse, Mike, mile on the 16th. This is one, the Crescent City Derby, Crescent City Oaks, just part of the racing makeup here at the fairgrounds. Tambourine Star in this race, you made it 12-1. That horse interests me a little bit at that price. Hasn't went over the track here, was favored last time out. Not sure. I think the longer the better for this horse, but what can you tell us about Tambourine Star and some of the other ones in here?
Actually, I bet on him in his last race, and he disappointed me. That's why I made him higher. He made a good move and opened up a lead. Yeah, I thought he was going to be home free. And
I think I was on that train with you.
And Jake Delhomme and them ran over him.
Yeah, he did.
I can't say I can't throw him out because, he ran a solid second behind Bacta Gimlet, the favorite, back at Delta earlier in the meet. So, I think I can't say he's a throw. This race, believe me, from top to bottom, there's about 10 of them can win this race, in my opinion.
No, it's good.
Bacta Gimlet he didn't run bad in his only start at the fairgrounds, finishing the closing 4 sprinting. But I think he's a better horse going 2 turns. He won going a mile pretty easily, beat a lot of these horses. I think he's the one to beat. Tom Amos has more memories. He didn't run at all at Delta that day, but he'd won 3 of his last 4 starts. That was his only dull effort. So I think he might bounce back. And Tom putting Rosario on him, so that tells you he thinks he's a live horse. I think the question mark was, too, is United Report for Dallas Stewart. He went off 2-1 against Bacta Gimlet and More Memories and got drilled. But then he came back to win a solid sprint race here. And, he ran a decent 7-furlong race, winning at Delta earlier in the meet. So, he's got a shot in here, like you said, Tuna Tambourine, and both of Jake's horses, Playmo and Cosmic Train, both of those horses, have proven around 2 turns. So, believe me, if they got a fast pace in here, you got to watch out for them, too.
No, a lot of horses in this race. In fact, most of the field has won here at the fairgrounds, and that's what makes it tough because a lot of those horses in here have won. Vodka Gimlet hasn't, but you got I'll tell you facts down there at the bottom for Shane Wilson's won 2 times here at the fairgrounds. Like you say, Unified Report. They're going to try. Probably this might be the last time he's going 2 turns. I would think is if they fail this time against Louisiana breds, they're probably going to just go back and sprint him, which is what he's been very, very good at. So yeah, interesting race there in the Crescent City Derby, the 5th race on the card Saturday here at the fairgrounds. The stakes race and the 6th race is the Coastal Rising, 5.5 on the turf. And I can tell you, this race last year devastated me. Let me tell you. So the long shot play of the day last year for me was actually Jake's horse in this race. And I was actually on doing the paddock preview for this race, and I picked this horse on top, and it was X-Clown. Right, so X-Clown goes off at 50-1 and gets nailed by Classy John, who himself was 30-1 that day. So these turf races spreads Louisiana breds. Look, it's a dartboard type of race. Of course, both of those come back in this race this year because that's what Louisiana breds do every year. In this race, I don't know where I'm going. Classy John and X-Clown, I believe, are going to be a lot lower in prices this year. I'm looking for a price in this race. What do you have for me?
Well, I got both of those as solid efforts. They always show up going 5.5 here at the fairground. So, and they always almost like heads apart. Mm-hmm. So you got to use those 2 when you're playing. The question about Birdie's Galaxy, he's been the class of these Louisiana breds. I mean, 10 wins in 7 seconds from 23 lifetime starts, and 5.5 furlongs is a perfect distance for this horse. Question mark is the turf. Didn't run a bad turf race, back in one of his earlier starts. Last year in the turf race, he got bumped around out the start, never got to show his speed at all. But looks like Ron's got him in great form right now. What a great claim that was. He claimed it for $20,000 off of John Cowan a couple of years back, and he's done nothing but good with this horse. So I think that's a wild card in here. Faucher's other horse, Half Again, been working very well. Solid. He hadn't started yet at the meet. Been working solidly here. And, and ran with some pretty quick horses with A Song of Arch and Violet Ways. And I think a horse for a little bit of a price, you might, Yankee 7. This is another one that's popped up on occasion to run some big races. And since he switched barns to the Ramirez barn, he's got 2 wins and a second in his last 3 starts.
Yeah, it's a really good race, these Louisiana breds on the turf, and everybody seems to have one of these in the state. So we're not sure how it's going to shake out after scratches, but we should get a firm turf course on Saturday. Look for a price there in the 6th race, the Coastal Rising. We're going to go ahead and stop it right here, take a break, come back on the other side, and we'll get into a really good maiden special weight race, the 7th, and then we'll look at the late pick 5 here at the fairgrounds and all the really good stakes races. We'll be back right after this. We are getting close to Easter and wanted to let our local folks know that Louisiana Craft Butchers is offering a limited number of Steen's cane syrup injected pecan smoked spiral cut hams for Easter. Flavor all the way through. Get those orders in now for all the best Cajun cuisine you can find. They got andouille, they got boudin, they got deli meats. Go check out their website to see all they got. Give them a call to place your next order. Louisiana Craft Butchers, 504-466-9788. Let Louisiana Craft Butchers help you make this Easter one to remember. 504-466-9788. Check out their website, lacraftbutchers.com. March Madness. Before you place your bets on the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, check out the consultants at meatandpotatoesusa.com. They are on fire with March Madness picks. They offer a money-back guarantee on all Sweet 16 and Elite 8 picks. Win money. Meatandpotatoesusa.com is available on your smartphone, laptop, and computer. You can connect on Facebook and Instagram as well. Meatandpotatoesusa.com. Back here in the Fairgrounds Racing Podcast, Chad Schexnayder alongside Mike Diliberto as we get into the rest of the back half of the Fairgrounds card on Saturday. Let's take a look at the 7th race, Mike, and a lot to talk about here. These maiden special weights, 6 furlongs. Here's the Colts, 3 years old. And as usual, horses that we've been waiting for all end up in the same maiden race.
That's true. A bunch of them been training exceptionally well out here. So, but, you got Steve Asmussen. He went off the favorite last time out, and they ran 9-2. and you got beat in 9-2 with the first. That's hard to do, and he only got beat ahead, and he's back there with Joe Rosario again on the rail. I think he's the horse to beat, but I think there's a first-time starter that definitely been training exceptionally well.
Okay, so stop me here. He gets we talked about Marsalis, obviously, from the rail. He took a lot of money, like Mike said, went off the favorite. I thought the ride by Rosario was way too overconfident. He was on the inside. He didn't seem like he even asked his horse for nothing, and Momentous was coming right by him, put his head in front. He actually waited till Momentous was in front of him pretty good before he started asking him. By that time, I thought, he was a little bit down the ways from him. But I don't understand how you run 109-2 and only get a 75 buyer.
You know what? The buyers on the early part of the card were just unusually slow, bad numbers. I mean, I just think it was bad numbers.
I think the whole race day that was just weird, right? I mean, the whole race day with numbers, because you had Olympia had set a track record. This one runs 109-2. The fillies out of the Rachel, which we'll talk about in a little while, ran completely slow, and Cyberknife in his allowance race beat the Rachel Alexandra fillies going a mile and 16th by 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That's 10 lengths.
No, the track was playing very funny that day.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you figures, guys, and you look at figures and you're going back and look at the charts from Risen Star Day, I don't know what to tell you. I wish we could help you more there, but it was a strange track, especially on the dirt. But back to the 7th race, Marsalis. I think you got him 9-5 more in line. I see him dropping down a little bit, like you said, but the Marsalis of this maiden special weight race this time around that we all, high on is going to be Strobe, right? I mean, he's the Marsalis first-time starter in this race.
Strobe has worked as well as any first-time starter the whole meet. I mean, February 21st, he went 58-4 out the gate. Now, he was asking, but he went out in 11 and change for the 6 furlongs. Came back on March the 12th, a solid best of 89, 47-4. And then his last race, his last work, we were right here last week on March the 19th, 48 flat. But what was deceiving about that, he finished in 34-2 the last 3 eighths. So he's a horse that's doing exceptionally well. I think he's going to give Marsalis all he wants. So I really think one of those two will win, and probably 1-2. And I'm looking for some other first-time starters and horses to run second or third. I got the 4, 5, 10, and 12 underneath with those two.
Has Strobe been working with anybody of note?
Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, he's worked with a couple of the solid horses early in the meet. The Messiah Warrior, the horse that ran second, I think, at Oaklawn last time out, has been one of his regular workmates.
Maiden. Vinco in here is a horse that everybody talks about, the West Point $1.5 million horse. Now they're cutting back. Dallas is going to cut back with him and put the blinkers on and hope for a new result. His first 2 outs were disappointing at short prices. This time you bumped him up. You said, hey, 12-1 here this time. I don't really know what to think about Vinco. I wasn't on him the first 2 times, but I know a lot of people thought highly of this horse, especially if he had that trip first time out that a lot of people noted on. Has he looked any better, any the same since his last out?
He's trained well. I can say he hadn't trained well, but believe me, he's going to catch a much tougher field here than he did the first 2 times. Tom
Amos has Can't Hush This, who's a little bit of a buzz. I say a little bit because Marsalis was the buzz out of that race. But Amos better with second-time starters. This meet, he's had kind of a tough meet. He's had a good meet overall. Tough meet as far as first-time starters go, and obviously Can't Hush This isn't a first-time starter, but Amos is 0 for 14 with first-time starters this meet, and that's a little bit deceiving because he's run into some monsters.
Oh, yeah, and he's run some good races, just wasn't good enough sometimes.
Right, so, this race, Marsalis, like you said, Strobe, Malibu SS is the first-time starter for Amos, which is why I mentioned that. Rammer Jammer for Fauché, I just want to mention him. This is a first-time starter. Ron isn't exactly the first-time starter kind of trainer. He hasn't won with a first-time starter. I'm going to give him a little hell for this, but he'll probably listen and shoot me a text. He hasn't won with a first-time starter since June of last year. And so that's going back 15 starts. But he's really good off the claim. He's going to be our leading trainer here at the meet. But first-time starters is not really a Fauché forte. And he doesn't get many of them, to be honest with you. So look for Strobe and Marsalis out of this maiden race. Whoever doesn't win the maiden race here is probably going to win at Keeneland.
I would have to think so.
8th race on the card, Tom Benson Memorial Stakes. Named for our man, Mr. B, here in New Orleans, the Saints owner, Pelicans owner. Mile and a 16th on the turf for the Benson. And this race last year won by, I believe it was Joe Sharps or Song of Saratoga with IRAD won this race that we liked in there. What do you got here in this race for the Benson?
This is another really good race because you got two logical horses, both coming off of layoffs. Henny Woods hadn't run since October in a Grade 1 against some really good, keeping really good graded stakes company. Working very well here at the fairgrounds. If she's cranked up, ready to fire her best, I think she might be the one to beat. But, this might be something to get her ready for a graded stake race at Keeneland coming up. So I think I'll give her a slight nod. Gam's Mission, another one, was keeping great company over the summer at Saratoga and up in New York, and ran against Santa Barbara and Conlima, two really graded stakes horses there. She goes back on Lasix here. She's 2 for 2 on Lasix. Another one coming off of a layoff. But, Cherie DeVoe does very well bringing them off of layoffs. So those are the two most logical. But there's 3 or 4 other ones. Lake Lucerne, this one, Rosario, another one that coming off of a layoff since November. Looked like, they all getting one, under their belt before the big races at Keeneland. She Can't Sing and Lovely Ride, 2 solid horses that have run over the track. She Can't Sing stretched out last time out and popped up and beat past the plate at big odds at 24-1. Can't throw her out. She's come back and worked well. And Lovely Ride, 2 solid efforts in the 2 stake races here. So this is a really good race, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lovely Ride switches barns from Brett Calhoun to Robertino Diodoro, and Florent Giroux jumps aboard. This filly, like you said, was won the Pago Hop here to close out the 3-year-old season. She's 4. She came back in the Marie Krantz Memorial and ran very, very well. So she likes this track here. I think she's probably going to be my top pick. Lovely Ride. She Can't Sing, 24-1. Look, that was the time to have her. I mean, when these fillies face each other on the turf, that's what you want. It's going to be hard to suck it up and take 6-1 or so on her this time around. So I think she's a pass for me. Hendy Woods, I really like. She was 2 for 2 here in the turf last year. Tyler's on, with these fillies, they go Lasix on, Lasix off. She's getting the Lasix back on this time around. She's very tactical. But like you said, I think this might be a prep for something later on. Clara Peters is a local horse here. This one, she's gotten around the neighborhood in the backside. She's been claimed 3 times. She's
40,000 each time.
She's in her 4th barn of the meet, so she's been around the neighborhood back there. And Chris Hartman's got her now. And boy, let's talk about Chris Hartman. What a meet he's had, right? I mean, him and Mitchell Morrell. Chris Hartman has had an unbelievable meet here. So she ran really well. She's got to win over the turf course. So yeah, a lot of good horses in here. Gam's Mission you mentioned, it's cut out to be a nice horse. 4th in a Grade 1 at Belmont. That certainly jumps off the page at you. Man, a lot of different ways to go in that race. We'll see, who takes the lead, what happens, and how that one shapes up. The 9th race on the card is the 1 1/8 New Orleans Classic, formerly named the New Orleans Handicap. Olympiad comes back here, and I'm guessing it took Bill Mott about 30 seconds to pick out his next spot after seeing that he broke the track record here. He was coming back, and this was going to be his target for $500,000. And Mike, he's going to be a bear to get by in the stretch.
I have to agree with it, because the race, since there's a small field of only 6, and 4 of them are definite closers. Mm-hmm. So, Olympiad, looks like he'll be able to dictate the pace on the front end. And if he slows it down like he did last time, 24-48, there's no way they're going to catch him. So I just think he's going to be a solid horse in here. I think he's really, really tough to beat. Proxy ran a big race off for the layoff for Mike Stidham, but the race set up well for him, too, with some quick fractions. But he just blew by him and won so easily. And he was keeping good company last year, too. But he's going to have to be a little forwardly placed in this race for the simple reason, that there's not much speed in the race. But, Proxy off of that last race, I think he's got a shot. And Promise Keeper might be the wild card in here for Todd Pletcher. In his 4-year-old debut, he broke bad and got pinched around and was way back, which is unusual for him. Still finished up very well, if only get beat 2 3/4 lengths. Before that, he was running some pretty decent races, showing some speed. So I think he'll be the one that's going to give Olympiad a little pressure early.
Yeah. Who's the one who's going to come out of his game to take on Olympiad? That's the question. Todd Pletcher, look, he's owned this race. Maybe not so much recently, but Pletcher has 6 wins lifetime in the New Orleans Classic. He's won 07, 08, 10, 11, 13, and 2014 with Palace Malice. Now, a couple of years ago, he had Fearless in here, went off the favorite and ran off the board. But Todd Pletcher usually sends over a pretty good horse for this race, and he's got Promise Keeper here, who ran well. He ran a good number on the sheets last time out at Oaklawn. I think he's got a shot. Chess Chief is, the horse that has 5 wins lifetime and 30 starts, and all 5 have been over this track. He won this race.
Last year.
He won it last year at 5-1. Got up at that photo with Owendale on the wire. You talk about you could tell somebody pick this horse after they hit the wire, and you could say, hey, you could bet 50-50. It was that close. I mean, it was a really tight photo. A lot of people thought Owendale hung on. But Chess Chief gets Lasix back on for this one off the Pegasus try. He runs his best races here. Like you said, I just don't know. He likes to come from out of it a bit. And Proxy, what's Proxy going to be this year? I think we're going to find out in this race what Mike Stidham has, and if this horse can keep improving as a 4-year-old. He's certainly got the breeding to do it, and I'm interested to see because he likes to track here at the fairgrounds. It's a good race around Olympiad. I think if Olympiad wasn't in here, you'd have a few more horses, and it'd really be a tough race. But I think Olympiad, just off that number last time, he stands out to me, and obviously to you, and something that maybe handicappers can lean on in the pick 5 late is Olympiad in the New Orleans Classic. Let's move on to the 10th race and the old Mervyn Muniz Memorial Classic. Your boy Merv, Mike. I know you miss him. You got a Mervyn story for us?
Well, we got
about 30.
We got a million Mervyn stories for him. Mervyn was the greatest. He was he's one of those you could put down as a Damon Runyon character also.
No doubt. One of the all-time great knockers. One of the all-time great knockers. No, he was a racing secretary here for a number of years around the game and grew up around the track. And when we missed the Merv down here, glad they got this nice turf race named after him. It's a grade 2. And Chad Brown, he's got turf horses in his barn all over, and he's going to ship 2 of them over here, Mike. But the combined age of these 2 horses is 15 years old. He has a 7-year-old in Secret Life, who you made 2-1 in the morning line. And right next to him in the starting gate is going to be Devamani. And that one's 5-2. Where are we going here? And is Chad Brown just has the 2 best horses in here?
Well, they've been keeping the best company. I mean, they're running in grade 1s and grade 2s and being very competitive. And like you said, Sacred Life, 5 wins and 9 starts at the mile and the 8th distance. So he's at his perfect distance. I think he's going to be very, very tough to handle in here. Devante, he's the other one with Rosario. He's also popped up and run some big races, win some graded stakes. I think those 2, and then the bottom horse, Santan. Last time it was a very slow pace and it didn't set up well. And Santan still closed well into it to only get beat a half a length. There's a lot more pace in the race today. I just think Santan, Sacred have the 2, 3, and the 9, but I think the 2 is probably the horse.
So Chad Brown works his horses together, usually these turf horses. These 2, Sacred Life and Devamini, both have been working together at Palm Meadows. You can check out those works on xbtv.com. To me, it looks like Sacred Life, at least in the workouts, gets the better of Devamani, whether he's on the inside or outside. Rosario actually jumps on Devamani, so who knows? I think looking at the form, Devamani probably does better on a softer turf, something with some cut. If you look at his PPs, he wins when he gets that good yielding turf. We're going to be fast here. I'm leaning toward Sacred Life, but I don't think I'm going to single Sacred Life, to be honest with you. I think there's some other horses, and I'm always a little worried about those horses coming first time over here. On the Fairgrounds turf course. It could be a little bit different. Santine, I really think, is the one who can upset him. He's one of those horses that was a buzz horse. Last time out, you had 12-1 in the morning line.
Yeah.
He got bet down like a crazy horse off some works. And, one of those things where the whole Twitter universe, and I know you're not on Twitter, but the whole universe was talking about Santine, 12-1, Brendan Walsh. It's one of those things where if you get a tip from one guy, make a bet. If more than 3 people like him, book it.
He ran fourth.
he ran fourth, so if you booked it, you did well. But, he had a little bit of a troubled trip, but closed well. And, look, now, second time over the turf here at the Fairgrounds. That's an angle I like. He actually stayed here. He was based at Palm Meadows. He shipped in for that Fairgrounds handicap. And now he stayed here and worked 3 times on the dirt, which probably didn't tell us too much, right?
Right. No, he just real easy works. Yeah, very easy.
The long shot in here that I do like is another mystery. And maybe it's because I had him that day in the Connolly in Houston, and he dead heated with Fantioso for Nacho Correas. That race, I'll tell you, man, I don't know if you saw that race, the Connolly. It was a dead heat. Another mystery was 24-1.
He got flying.
I thought he won. Yeah. I mean, I really thought he
got
won.
Up on the outside. Yeah,
I thought he won that race. Jared Loveberry has rode the turf very well here. He's intriguing to me. If the pace gets a little hot up front, Loveberry can come around and snipe him at the end. He's going to be one I'm definitely using. Definitely going to use in here. He's got 2 wins over the turf course here. He ran his best number ever on the sheets last time out. So I think he could be improving. I think he has another jump up. And if you look at some of the speed figures and you look at the numbers on the sheets, he's not that far behind Sacred Life. So if he's got another one in him, I'm going to use another mystery. So it's a good race. A lot of these horses will come back. Chad Brown, just to tell you, in this race, he's had 6 starters, 2 wins, a second and a third. So he's done well here. He's won it with Casino Host and Bricks and Mortar back in 2019. So he's familiar with the winner's circle in the Mervyn Muniz Classic. That's the 10th race on the card. The next 2 races are the big ones for 3-year-olds. The 11th race, the Fairgrounds Oaks. Grade 2, points up for grabs. 100 points here, Mike, for the winner to the Kentucky Oaks. Mile and a 16th on the main track. And Echo Zulu, the champion 2-year-old filly, makes her seasonal debut. She shows 6 works here at the Fairgrounds. Have they all been exceptional, like Steve is saying? Beautifully, I believe was the quote he used, beautifully worked course.
She got a late start. She didn't start till the beginning of February, and, they brought it easy, 3/8 and a half. And then she started slowly improving, and then her last 2 works were much better than the previous works. And her last work, a solid, minute and a fifth, finished up in 35 and change. So she's coming around. I ain't sure she's quite where she needs to be, but I think the goal is the Kentucky Oaks. So, she's definitely the horse to beat. She dominated 2-year-olds, and if she runs anywhere near those last 4, all 4 career starts, she's going to be real hard to beat. Now, I think she'll bust right out of there from the rail and go to the lead, and I think Hidden Connection is going to be right there stalking her. If Hidden Connection breaks okay, she's come back and worked exceptionally well since her last start. She looked like a horse that needed that race. She just, got tired the last 16th in that last start. But she came back on March the 11th and worked with Caputa, went 58-1, and won a 111-3 for the 6th furlong. And she really galloped out and kept going strong. Actually, she galloped out better than Caputa did. So I think Echo Zulu and Hidden Connection, the 2 most logical. Now, if for some reason those 2 hook up and really go quick early, Berna Breezy might be a horse that could sneak up because she's definitely the closer in the race. So I give her outside shot. But I think the 1 of the 6 most logical.
Yeah, I think Favor shipping in for Todd Pletcher has a little bit of early speed as well. I don't know if she's got Echo Zulu's speed, but I got to think that, Pletcher, this one's making her stakes debut. Let's see what kind of class she has. She's been favorite in all 3 starts this year, so they're obviously high on her. All 3 starts of her career, I should say. She's got some 2-year-old form back at Aqueduct. She's done what she's had to do at Gulfstream. She's kind of the wild card to me. 2 seconds after that Rachel Alexandra last month, I wanted no part of any horse coming out of there that's going to run here, just based off times and things like that. Brad's going to bring Turner.
The only thing I didn't like about Wild Later 8-1 is her 2 big wins were both with Lasix. Now she's not going to have Lasix.
Right. She has no Lasix here at Favor. So yeah, she's got that to deal with. But I do like the Berna Breezy. I've bet her this horse a couple of times this meet when she's won. She's a hard-trying horse. She comes with her clothes, gets James Graham, the meet's leading rider. I think you're on to something there as far as Berna Breezy getting the points, getting some of these points that's for this race. Hidden Connection, she's the one. If you want anybody out of Rachel Alexandra, she would definitely be the one next time out to take, just because of the wide trip. And I think she was there. Maybe, to be honest with you, Lacrette, I believe, was going to go on to win that race, and she suffered an injury. Thankfully, she's okay. But the way that race ended, I got to think Lacrette was going to end up winning that race. Hidden Connection was a little bit bothered by that. She made her run, but I think Brett's got her a lot tighter now. She's probably the main threat, the Connect filly, Hidden Connection, to Echo Zulu. But, man, it's going to be hard to beat Echo Zulu. If you do, in the verticals, you're going to get paid.
Right.
You're going to get paid. I just don't know how they're going to do it. She's got the perfect post, got the speed. So Echo Zulu, look for big things from her later on. Hidden Connection, Berna Breezy, those are my 3 in that race. The big one, the 12th race, the Louisiana Derby, $1 million pot here, the twinspires.com Louisiana Derby, mile and a 16th. Mike and Echo Epicenter is the morning line favorite. He's done well in the series this year. He's got 2 stakes wins here at the Fairgrounds and just missed the Lecomte. The mile 3/16 is something they've gone to here the last couple of years, stretching these horses out. Steve really likes it. I think the trainers have all come around to it, to be honest with you. It really gives, I think, horses here that run in the series a hometown advantage.
Well, it's the next step. You go a mile and an eighth, then now you get into a mile and 3/16, and then a mile and a quarter for the Kentucky Derby. So you improve, going to further distance each time.
Epicenter is going to go, Mike. You got to think he's going to be on the lead. Are his fractions going to be softer, you think, in this race, or you think he's going to get the lead like he did in Risen Star? Could he get an easier lead and do it any easier than the Risen Star? Because in the Lecomte he was pressed, and we saw him get sniped by Call of Midnight. I don't see where that comes from in this race. I think he could be on the lead just as easy as he was in Risen Star.
I have to agree with you. I think it'd be similar fractions, 47 and change for the half. And if he runs 47 and change for the half, I think he's going to be tough to beat because it looked like the distance isn't going to be any problem at all. Because, I mean, he was geared down in the last start going a mile and eighth. He could have won by 7 or 8 lengths if he wanted to. So I got to think he's going to be definitely the horse to beat in here. If you're looking for an upset, I got 3 horses that I think could possibly pop up and run well. Zozos, very impressive in his last start, winning by 10.5 at Oaklawn. Trained well since he's come back here. A lot of upside with him. So I got to think he's got a chance. Call Me Midnight. Hadn't been out since the LeComte, but really finished up well in his last work. Went 47-2, out in 59-3. So, that was an excellent work. I think Keith DeZomo might have done the right thing, trained him up to this race because he seems to run best when he has a lot of time between races. And Caputa, that's the one that showed a lot of speed in his last start and stalked the pace with Cyberknife. Wasn't good enough that day to beat him, but he ran a big race, finishing a solid second, and then he came back with that fast 58 work out in 11-3. So I got to think one of those 3 could possibly give the Epicenter a shot if he don't. But if Epicenter runs his race, I think it's his race to lose.
Epicenter's going to be around probably even money in the neighborhood of that. We have had upsets in the Louisiana Derby. The last two out of three, last year, Mandaloon, big favorite, lost. And then 3 years ago, War of Will came in to Louisiana Derby as a heavy favorite, and he went down. So it can happen. It could happen in these big races. Epicenter certainly looks like he's got the good stuff for this race. Call Me Midnight does, he's kind of been a forgotten horse, right? You don't see him since January. I think Keith DeSormo does have really nice horse on his hands here, and he wants some points. And look, let's be honest. You get 100 points for first, 50 for second, 20 points for third is going to get you in the Derby this year.
Oh, I would think so.
So, you can see those boys riding hard for third and fourth place because they're going to they're going to have their shot in the Derby. Zozo's very interesting, hasn't done nothing wrong. Brad Cox is going to send Cyberknife to the Arkansas Derby, so he switches places. Zozos comes here. He's got speed to burn too, and I think he, being on the inside of Epicenter out of the gate probably isn't what Brad would have picked, but you got to kind of take the hand you dealt with. Just want to touch on some others here. Curly Tails of Curlin for Dallas Stewart. Dallas, he's got the maiden win at Oaklawn. He's going to run here. Looks like he's going to run here. We don't have any early scratches yet, but this is a horse that should get better as he gets older, being out of Curlin. Dallas has done well in these big stakes races throughout the years. And Pioneer Medina, he takes his 3rd flight back over here to the fairgrounds. He ran in the undercard on LeComte Day, won an allowance race. Was pretty, and that was on Lasix. He comes off of Lasix, gets 4th place, was part of the pace, chasing Epicenter around there in the Risen Star. So Todd sends this one back, and Talagap Leone jumps aboard. So he's got his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, his 6th different rider out of his 6 starts for Pioneer Medina. We don't get to see him work, Mike, but what kind of chance you give him? Is he a B on your ticket? Is he a C? Is he a throwout?
He's going to be on my ticket just for the reason, he's an improving horse. And Todd Pletcher knows how to bring him around as 3-year-olds. And, I can't knock him. He didn't run that bad in his last start, only beating 3 1/4 lengths to Epicenter. So, and Smile Happy and Zodon, 2 pretty nice 3-year-olds that he only got beat a head and the neck by. So, I mean, he didn't run a bad race in that race. And if he shows a next step up and moves up, improves a little bit, no surprise if he gets a piece of it. But I still think I'm not sure he can handle Epicenter.
The 2 horses from Florida, let's touch on Galt and Rattle and Roll. Galt is one for Bill Mott. Here's a question for you. Been around here a long time, Mike. You've been around here a long time. Here's a question. Has Bill Mott ever won the Louisiana Derby?
Taylor Special?
Taylor Special. 1984. Is the year Bill Mott won his first Louisiana Derby. He won another one, too, in 91 with Richmond.
Oh, yeah.
Richmond, a 2-5 winner. He's a Florida bred. Both of those horses were from Mr. Lucas, Mr. William Lucas, and Taylor Special was a nice horse, 84. You jumped right on that one. That's impressive.
I'll never forget that horse. I can tell you a story about that horse and Buddy D.
Is that for another time?
Another time.
So Bill Mott brings Galt over here. You see the running lines in his PPs. He lost the rider. He was kind of involved around that spill that happened in the Fountain of Youth over there at Gulfstream. So Bill Mott's going to come this way with him. He's interesting. He hasn't been bet a lot. He's 19-1 2 starts back in the Holy Bull. Ran really well that day. Was part of the pace. And 18-1 last time. Rattle and Roll is one for Kenny McPeak, Mike, that trains with Smile Happy. We saw Smile Happy here in the Risen Star. This one was a little bit behind in his training with Smile Happy. Kenny McPeake's going to send this one over here out of the Fountain of Youth. Really kind of disappointed. They just very nondescript 6. I mean, he wasn't really involved around that trouble too much. But he just didn't fire, and maybe the change of scenery for him is going to wake him up.
You're right. If he runs back to those his last 2 races as a 2-year-old, where he beat pretty solid fields in both of them, and was very impressive. But then kind of threw a dull race on his first race back. He come back with a couple of solid works since then.
Look at those works.
If he happens to run back to that 2-year-old form, no surprise if he pops up and runs well.
I hope his works are on XBTV because I want to go check him out. I mean, 58-4, 58-3. Those are some fast times in the morning. And Kenny McPeake has done well here at the fairgrounds when he does ship in. And Brian Hernandez is the main guy for him. Rattling Rule interests me a little bit underneath on the tickets. So that's a look at the Louisiana Derby, race 12 on the card here at the fairgrounds on Saturday. Mike, let's get to some best bets and some long shot picks. I'll let you start. What's your best bet? What's your long shot for Saturday?
I just think Olympiad's going to be really hard to beat because I don't see a lot of speed in the race. I think they'll be able to dictate the fractions, and he looks like the mile and 1/8 will be perfect for him. So I'm making him my best bet. I'm going to go really early in the card from a long shot special. Number 8, My Brother Patrick from Mike Diliberto. Just the fact that his last 2 works, he worked with Proxy, and he's worked pretty good. And Mike definitely good at getting the horse ready 2 turns. And the ones that have run already, that are the program favorites, don't seem like they're anything special. So I'm looking for a first-time starter, Mike, to pop up and run big.
I'm going to stick with Epicenter as my best play. I've played him every time. I've got the future ticket on him, the 54-1 future ticket for the Derby that was placed in Thanksgiving. So I've been on the Epicenter bandwagon here this whole time, and I'm not jumping off now. So Epicenter is going to be a play for me. I'll have him singled on the back half of some of my tickets. I don't think we get $8. What a gift that was in the Risen Star. So Epicenter is going to go ahead and be my best play. I think from a long shot, I'm going to jump into the Munez and take another mystery. I think this horse at double-digit odds could float up. Chris Block's horses on the turf generally do well. This horse is in good form, and I think he wants every bit of that 1/8 he's going to get here on the turf, and I just hope he comes running down the center of the track on Saturday in the Munez. Another mystery is my upset special. So that'll do it here for the Fairgrounds Podcast. Mikey D, thanks for everything. Thanks for all your help this meet, doing these podcasts and these big days. I know the patrons and the listeners certainly appreciate it.
Well, we enjoyed the meet, and hopefully it'll be a bang-up finish.
Yeah, maybe we can do some Triple Crown ones too. So we'll stay tuned for that and see if we can do some Fairgrounds horses on the Triple Crown Trail as we get down the road. For Mike Diliberto, I'm Chad Schexnayder. Check back later this week. I have another podcast coming up that'll be dropping here probably Thursday with Kenny Schmidt from FB Winners and John Hurricane Hurd, the Jesuit boy who lives in Arkansas. He'll be joining me. We'll break down the Pick 5 here at the fairgrounds. I will let those guys tell you a little bit of how their tickets look on the big day on Saturday. Follow me on Schexnola on Twitter, @Schexnola, and good luck at the races, everybody, on Saturday.